Hello, and welcome to Two Seats Down, the Unfiltered Stream, the podcast where we listen in on the global water cooler, a borderless space where identities are fluid and emotions are raw. Here, anonymous voices clash over current events, philosophy, race, religion. The topics are endless, but always lively. They may not know who they're talking to, but they always know what they believe in. Expect a candid debate, expect tension, expect the good, the bad, and the unusual, in whatever form it may take. All from the strangers sitting just 2 seats down from you.
Okay, so let's say I want to do a right-wing socialism. Because actually I do like it. So what would I believe in then? Like, I wouldn't believe in welfare, would I, or would I?
No, you'd be a non-welfare state.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So welfare is true welfare is charity.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not government welfare isn't charity. Government welfare is forced charity, where money is taken out of your pocket in order to give from the
Thank
from
you
the
very
hands.
much. I appreciate it. Like teach me again one more time. Say it again to me. I'm sorry, I couldn't quite follow it all. Tell me one more time.
What part of that?
Like, what is it that I should believe in as a right-wing socialist?
Well, if you
Because right now I really believe power to the rich is what I believe in now.
power to the rich.
That maybe I shouldn't believe that. Yeah, because they're going to give us a better world if we give them more power.
There's nothing inherently evil or about being rich, but the rich person should be just as humble as the poor person or the middle class person. And the rich person doesn't have to forcibly have his wealth taken away from him, but a benevolent rich person would see the needs of his fellow countrymen, and where it is possible, he'd be generous with that wealth and charitable to make sure that nobody's left behind, that everyone's looked after. And that's what charity is all about.
Why not? Why
So
not
you
just
wouldn't
reinvest the money?
you wouldn't have your
and
you
grow
wouldn't
the
have
whole
your wealth
economy?
taxed away from you.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that the rich have a duty to charity in a right-wing society?
I would say they have a moral obligation, but as far as a legal duty, they don't have a legal duty. But I would say they have a moral obligation because
Why?
Because
They
they're
should
wealth.
just reinvest the money.
Well, they can absolutely, and
Yeah,
they can
that's
become
better.
bigger and they
That's
can
better
become
'cause
stronger
it-
more. But here's the
Right,
thing.
but that grows the whole country.
You're-
Do that. So that's
right,
better.
But your business is only as strong as your country. At some point, if you don't look after the people in your country and you just exploit them for cheap labor, for whatever, and you don't put anything back into them, then eventually your society, your culture dies, and you lose your all that wealth.
But see, this was the part that everybody talks about, and I always disagree with this. And this is why maybe I'm not a right-wing socialist, is because I really don't think we should care too much about the individual. I think that we should just put all our energies into making, basically Deutschland über alles. Like, make the country itself very strong, very prosperous, very well run. And then over time, everything will just work out. Like, you don't have to care about the individual, really. That's kind of my...
Okay, but
Like China did
that's your
that.
particular. So I look at this from a Christian perspective, where we do look after the widow, and we look after the orphan, we look after the poor, the destitute, the ones that need a hand up. That's something that we do for the love of our fellow man, because they are our brothers. So no one likes to see anyone fail. No one likes to see anyone impoverished and struggling. So when you have the means and the ability to do
It's not our
so,
problem.
you help out.
It's not our problem. Our problem is making society great,
It
and
doesn't
then
matter.
everything else works
It's
out.
not about a matter of whether it's a problem or not. There are fellow countrymen. I mean, obviously, you don't have a very familial perspective on life. You're not married. You don't have kids.
Oh, but listen, China, let me tell you something. China, what they did is they allowed all these Western corporations to come in, exploit all their people, because it helped the Chinese nation state become strong and develop their economy. And actually, the individual Chinese citizen was exploited for a very long time.
You're 100% incorrect.
Okay.
So what happened with China is the Jews who took over and usurped control from the Christian czars in Russia, they exported communism to China in Mao Zedong, and they got rid of all the opposition. It was up to the tune of 130 million people were wiped out in order for communism, Jewish communism, to flourish in Russia or in China. And then the Jews, who completely drugged all of the Chinese emperors on their own opium, literally took over all the reins of control in China. Now, how they maintained that
Is that right?
is the
I didn't
Rothschilds.
know there was a Jew.
Rothschild.
There was a Jew. You're telling me Mao Zedong was influenced by
the
Jews.
The Rothschild Jews maintained that control and manipulation over the Chinese culture and people by making a 99-year lease and running that through Hong Kong, so that the Rothschilds could then exploit Chinese cheap labor, and they could export billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of cheap trinkets all over the world They were produced in China and funneled through the only part of China that wasn't communist, which was Hong Kong. Now, they still maintain that control. That's why Hong Kong has still got a sort of a quasi-autonomy as a capitalist, and Guangzhou and Macau are still capitalists and haven't been fully reverted back to pure communists. But that's how they did it. So they exploited it. These rich people and hundreds of millions of people died over the last 100 years, propping up these Rothschilds, these capitalists, and they're actually predatory monopolists, not capitalists. And so hundreds of millions of people have died around the world to keep these corporations running at the expense of all the people that they're not looking after because they just don't care.
Well, I know that Mao Zedong destroyed the country, and it was a terrible thing. But then Deng Xiaoping came in, and he opened the economy, and you're saying that was under Jewish influence and exploitation. But I really think Deng Xiaoping, like, he went to Singapore, talked to Lee Kuan Yew, and was like, hey, and he went to Japan as well, and he was like, hey, how did you guys build your country like this? And basically the answer is you have to open yourself up to foreign exploitation. And they did that on purpose, because you can say it was under Jewish duress.
It was already done for them by the Rothschilds. So right now, you and I are discussing history at this level. In order to understand history the way it actually happened, you got to go down 3 or 4 levels in your researches and understanding of the interaction, how the Rothschild Jews and the central banks completely dominated and controlled every aspect of Chinese society, culture, and business. I mean, you're just looking at the newspaper headings. You're not looking at the research. You're looking at the things that they want you to see, the things that you get taught in your high school, the things you get taught in your business courses in university. That's all you're getting. That's what you're looking at. That's what I'm hearing. And I've gone to those courses. I've been to university twice, once at 18 and once at 54. So the things that that I'm hearing from you are exactly what I hear from my fellow students at the level that they're taught at by their professors. You're taught the propaganda, you're taught the brainwashing that they infuse in us at that level, and that's the way we think about things. But you need to really get out of that shell, out of that lane, and you got to go. It's like an iceberg. So an iceberg is 90% below the water and 10% above. What you're telling me is that 10% that's shining in the sun and melting. But in order to understand what actually is behind the economies and the banking systems and all of these intrigues, you have to be willing to jump into the cold water and do that deep dive and see what the other 90% of that iceberg looks like. And right now, the way you're talking, what you're saying to me, you haven't even attempted to do that.
Would you say the same thing about Vietnam? Because Vietnam was communist, and then they opened themselves up to capitalist exploitation as well, and their economies are taking on too. To me, it's a general principle. If you just open, let's say you're a communist country and you're poor. How can you stand yourself up? Well,
have you been to Vietnam? Have you been to Vietnam?
No.
Have you been to Asia at all?
No.
Okay, so I've been to China several times. I've been to Japan. I've been to Vietnam. I've been to Laos. I can't say that I've been to Cambodia even though I went across the border. So I've seen firsthand what these countries, how they're run and what they're looked at. All of the poor are exploited. So when we say that they're affluent and they're selling, only a very few rich people at the top are getting any sort of wealth. The vast majority of these people live in abject poverty. So 3.5 billion people in the world today live on less than $2 a day. 3.5 billion people. 6.5 billion people in this world. And there's only 8.3 or 8.4 billion people on the planet. So including those people, and then including the next line, 6.5 billion people live under the average wage of a Mexican. And Mexicans are impoverished. They're poor. 6.5 billion, over 3/4 of the planet lives under the what Mexico lives in. And the vast majority of them under $2 a day. So this exploitation of all of the poor people of the world, because we're not looking after our own. These people live in squalor. They live in impoverished ghettos and things like that. They live and they subsist day to day on whatever they can pick or steal from anything or anywhere else. So we need, but that doesn't happen in the society. So look at America. So what do? Even before we had a welfare system, the welfare system only came in under President Roosevelt in the Great New Deal after 1933. But prior to that, America was affluent. Yes, we had our poor, but we had charity, genuine, heartfelt charity, where human beings looked after other human beings when they saw their need. And America flourished and became the greatest nation in the world on that principle alone. That nobody was left. Some people did fall through the cracks, but for the most part, nobody was left behind. Now we leave everybody behind. We don't give a crap about it. We let them live in their squalor. We don't put anything towards them. We don't improve their housing, their sewers, their water, their food, anything. We just keep all our corporate profits, and we keep reinvesting it in ourselves and not reinvesting it in our nation and the people that actually make our nation whole and healthy.
You're doing double speak on me, because I don't think you should put too much into the social programs. I think you should. I think you should focus on. Yeah.
I didn't say social programs. That's welfare. I said charity. Charity is something that if I'm the rich man and you're sitting on the street and you've got the tin cup out and you're begging for money, my Christian love for you should be I wish better for you. If I have it in my capacity, I'm going to give you a job, or I'm going to direct you to a place where you have a job that you can fit the criteria of whatever your physical and mental capacity is to do a job. I'll direct you there. I'll direct you to a place where you can get food and shelter, things like that. I will look after you. That should be my Christian duty towards all my fellow men.
I will not. I will push to have those people arrested for being there.
Then, without trying to be insulting, I would say you are what's wrong in society. That's why we are in this situation.
Well, listen, you just have to have a realistic and a pragmatic approach. If you feed the bear, you get more bears. If you don't feed the bears, they stop being bears. You don't have a bear problem anymore. You just have to have a hard-nosed approach to these people. They're shit people. Get them the hell out of the cities. Don't help them.
Right.
They can either stand up on their 2 feet or they can get fucked. That's better.
So we've come to. I understand, and so I'm not even going to guess at what nationality or heritage you have. But we've come to that point in the conversation because of the view that you have. The conversation is done between you and I, if that's what you want.
Sure. Well, I just don't understand your version of socialism. Just tell me your version of socialism. Okay.
Socialism are people within a nation that see the needs and look after the needs of their own through charitable needs, not
I'm
through
okay with
handouts,
charity.
through forced. Well, that's all I've been saying for the last 15 minutes with you.
Okay, well, I'm okay with charity. I just don't want to be
And I explained to you
forced
at the
into
very,
through
very
democracy.
beginning, because you're hung up on the word socialism, and I told you from the very beginning, I'm not talking about Marxist socialism or idealism. I'm not
So
talking
I don't
about.
understand
And
what
so
you're saying.
so go and do a difference. You go do your own ChatGPT search and look at and ask ChatGPT very succinctly research, analyze, and define all of the marked differences between Marxist socialism and the National Socialism that Adolf Hitler was prescribing in his National Socialist movement, and you start to see the contrast between socialism that looks after the people and Marxist socialism, which leaves the people behind. That's your first research right there. I'm not a big fan of ChatGPT, but it'll start to give you some answers.
Well, that was another raw conversation pulled from the digital ether. Thank you for listening to Two Seats Down. If you value hearing these candid, borderless debates, please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button to the show. I appreciate you, and it goes a long way. And hit that alert bell so you won't miss out on the next conversation. Thank you.